All right, Airbnb is known for offering home rentals around the world. Now the company is making its big screen debut. Today, Airbnb is premiering its feature-length documentary, Gay Chorus Deep South, at the Tribeca Film Festival. It follows the San Francisco gay men's chorus as they spread a message of love and acceptance. The documentary is part of the company's new push to create original travel content, including magazines. Airbnb's growth comes amid challenges from cities and regulators concerned about its impact on rising rents and housing shortages. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky is here first on CBS This Morning. Good morning.
Well, thank you for having me today.
This move into entertainment show business, if you will, it's not some whim. It's actually part of a business strategy.
It is part of a business strategy. We have hundreds of millions of people come to Airbnb every year, and they're looking to basically answer a question, where should I travel to? As we started realizing, what if we just created content to really help them? We started with a magazine, and we now have one of the biggest travel magazines in the country. It actually has a circulation of 1.2 million. It's called Airbnb Magazine, of course. And so we started to now think about films, things that really express our values. And this Gay Chorus Deep South film we made is really special because Airbnb is more than just real estate. It's really about reminding the world that, you know, people are fundamentally good and we're mostly the same. And if you bring people, into other people's space that are very different than you, you'll be reminded that we're not so different after all. And I think this was a really wonderful story of the gay chorus going into the Deep South.
Yeah. So is travel in 5 years, what will we think of when we think of Airbnb?
I think you'll think of Airbnb to plan your entire vacation at all price points and all geographies in the world. So we're going to combine where to go, what to do, and how to get there all in one place. So the whole end-to-end trip, not just housing, not just homes.
Yeah, you've talked about recently expanding Airbnb into transportation.
Yes.
What will that look like?
Well, I think flying was a very magical experience in the last century, and then I think over time it's because no matter how successful you get, you're reminded we're all mere mortals and we fly, and so it's just not as good an experience as we think it could be, and we want to partner with airlines and help them elevate their experience and really, work with them over the coming 5 years. So we don't have too much to announce now, but I do think the experience of flying could be a little bit easier.
Let me talk about safety and privacy, because there's been a lot of stories we've covered, certainly on our air, about Airbnb customers finding cameras, hidden cameras in the properties. What do you do in order to combat that and make sure those who use Airbnb feel safe?
Well, the safety is, first of all, our number one principle on Airbnb. The entire thing only works if you feel safe and trusted. And so we have a zero tolerance policy around cameras. You have to disclose cameras if they're in common spaces, especially on the outside of the house. We have a zero policy around cameras inside of the homes. And it really comes down to really intense community management. And we have a few hundred people on our trust and safety team who really work with the community to make sure that this does not happen only in rare occurrences.
What does that mean, work with the community, though? Do they go check and make sure the person who's renting out their house is actually telling you what they're telling you?
Well, 70% of guests, when they stay on Airbnb, leave a review. And so we now have hundreds of millions of reviews. So this is a system where the community really is reviewing the properties.
So you're relying on your customers basically to tip you off?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly helpful. And then the other thing is we have this new product called Airbnb Plus, where we actually go and we inspect the properties ourselves. And we do a 200-point inspection. I think more and more.
Is this every property?
No, right now it's just, a little over 15,000 properties. But eventually we want to inspect a significantly larger amount of our properties in addition to our community model.
There's some news this morning reported in the Wall Street Journal that now Marriott is getting into essentially this home rental business as early as next month. Does it make you nervous now that a hotel giant, a company as powerful and well-respected as Marriott, is now maybe going to challenge Airbnb?
No, I mean, 10 years ago, I remember I was in a hotel. I was telling somebody about the idea of Airbnb, and they look at me, and they said, Brian? And I said, yes. They said, I hope that's not the only idea you're working on. People thought this idea was crazy. Strangers will never stay with other strangers. The fact that the largest hotel company in the world is going into home sharing, I think, is pretty much an incredible testament. And the fact that we have 500 million guest arrivals on our platform. So I think we welcome them to the space.
So when are you going public? When's the Airbnb IPO?
Well, let me know. Just no news today, but we are actively working and we'll be ready later this year. So we'll see what happens after that.
All right, Brian, thank you for temporarily staying with us at our round table. We appreciate you being here.
Unfortunately, we have lots of cameras.
I know. Look at this.
Exactly.
We disclose all of them, though.